2017 committee whole meeting to order. It's approximately 5:12 p.m. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado.
Here.
Councilman Ross.
Here.
Vice Mayor Fairclough. Mayor Porter.
Here. Tab 1 is approval of the minutes. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Tab 2.
Mayor, Renaissance Substation is located south of Southwest 28th Street along Southwest 147th Avenue. This substation provides electricity to all City of Homestead HPS customers east of the Turnpike extension, including the Homestead Hospital and all residential subdivisions in the area within the Homestead electric territory. This substation currently has only one 40 MVA power transformer. With the growth of the city, it's experiencing in this area, it is necessary to install an additional power transformer to maintain sufficient power as well as electrical system reliability for the citizens of Homestead. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order to Burns & McDonald in the amount of $320,834,000 for the final design of the installation of an additional 40 MVA power transformer and all the necessary associated substation modifications at the Renaissance Electrical Substation.
Any questions on tab 2? Is there a motion on tab 2? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 3.
Mayor, staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to renew the terrorism policy with Hiscox for the policy term of March 31st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018. This renewal is the same as the expiring policy. There were no changes in the schedule or premiums for the expiring policy.
4, 5, 6, and 7 are all basically insurance updates, correct?
You are correct, sir.
So in the 7, basically tab 7 is basically just as a small savings to the city. Everything else is basically just rollover.
Correct.
Anyone opposed to putting all 4 together?
I just want to clarify, good evening. It's 3, 4, 5, and 6, not 7. 3, 4, 5, and 6 are ours.
Okay. My fat fingers.
Just
Okay.
making sure we get the right ones.
Anyone opposed to taking them all together? You just need to read them individually.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Thank you.
That was 3 of us, right? Yeah. Staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to purchase commercial property coverage for the policy term of March 31st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 through Everest Insurance Company, Westchester Insurance Company, and Landmark American Insurance Company for a combined total annual premium, including fees and assessments of $484,351. Tab 5, staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to purchase commercial property coverage for the City Hall for the policy term of March 31st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018 through the ICAT program for a combined annual premium of $54,289. Tab 6, staff recommends that Mayor and Council approve the attached resolution and authorize the city manager to renew the power plant property insurance through Ace American Insurance Company in the amount of $210,099 and continue the boiler machinery insurance with Federal Insurance Company for $100,558 for the policy term of March 31st, 2017 through March 31st, 2018.
Is there a motion on tab 3? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on tab 4? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion on tab 5? All in favor?
Aye.
Tab 6? All in favor? Tab 7?
Mayor, the South Dade Haitian Task Force is hosting a soccer tournament which will be free to the public, although they will be charging a registration fee for the tenants that will be participating, or the teams that will be participating. This event will bring the community together to reflect on physical fitness. They're expecting about 225 people to attend. South Dade Haitian Task Force is a nonprofit organization. The South Haitian Task Force is requesting that Mayor and Council authorize the city manager to approve a waiver of usage fees for a total amount of $400,000 for the use of the Harris Field soccer field. The total waiver consists of $350 rental fee and a $50 field marking fee. The task force will host the soccer tournament on March 25th, 2017.
The total amount was 400, not 400,000. $400. What did I say? 400,000.
Sorry, it's my first time.
That's a big waiver. Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. I guess to Mr. Maytan, do we, when we waive these fees, we still incur fees for cleanup and things like that. Do we ask these groups, organizations, or whomever to help us, especially on a big event out at a big field like that? And if not, I think we should in the future. If they're there using our stuff, I think we should at least reach out. One of the requirements is that they help us to do some cleanup around the events and things like that, as I know that that's probably one of our biggest expenses that we have incurring. Is that a pretty good assumption?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Councilman Burgess, that's correct, because when we do waive the fees, we also waive the deposit, which we usually use to do any damages or cleanups. But usually we do, when we do give them the waiver, we do notify them to let them know that they do have to clean up afterwards.
So, I would like to see, so that we're not being taken advantage of, I think that we should kind of look at maybe getting deposits from these folks and requesting that they help with cleanup and doing whatever they can at the end of an event, whether it's putting tables away, chairs, going down the soccer field or whatever it is, through the stands and helping our staff to clean up. And if they can't do it, then that deposit is held as that. But I think at some point, because I've heard from some of our employees that, when they go to do these things, they get no help and things are left in shambles a lot of times. And we need to, and that, if things are left in shambles and not orderly or whatever, that, and our cost goes up even higher to the city. So, I think we need to hold them a little bit responsible as we give them some leeway to come out and do these events too. So just my idea as I was reading through these, as we continue to get them week after week, after month after month. We've also got to be cognizant of what we're doing, spending the money, but we're not holding anybody reliable for consequences of things getting torn up or not being in working order when they leave.
That's a very good point. What would be the deposit on this facility?
I would probably say it'd be the 350 you usually put in for the football. This is a football field, but it's also going to be used for a soccer field. I'd have to check to let them know, I'd have to check on that, but I think it's probably like 150, 200 bucks, but I would have to clarify it. And that's just to let you know, Mayor and Council, a lot of them, when we do, you think about deposits, they really want everything waived. So I think what's probably going to happen is that they're probably going to be upset that they have to pay.
Well, that's fine. Everything is waived
Yes, sir.
after they help us by taking care of the facility that we're allowing them to use freely.
Yes, sir.
I agree. Everything is waived if they don't do any damage to the facility that requires a cost and some sort of recovery from the city. You can use the facility for free if you don't do damage to it.
Or clean it up or whatever it
Or
is.
clean it up, because that's just a kind of a common sense kind of a thought.
To clarify to Mayor and Council is that if you rent a facility from the city, we collect a deposit up front and then they return it to them after their event is over.
Okay.
If the council is directing me to do that with all waiver fees, they're going to have to come up with the cash first before their event. Just want to make that clear.
Yes, sir, that's all from me.
Mr. Roth?
I just want to piggyback on what John's saying, and if we're going to waive fees, there should be some sense of responsibility on the participant to clean up after themselves, and a deposit request to rent a venue is not a fee. It's just a insurance policy basically for us to make sure that the venue is picked up and clean and left in the way they found it. So, I mean, I'm all for that aspect of it. Um, when waiving fees, that's one thing. But when we waive our ability to protect the city's property through a deposit, that's something totally different. So I'm in agreement with that. You may not have this information in front of you, but can you tell us what the total amount of waived fees were for last year and maybe the year before?
Almost $17,000.
So we waived $17,000
Yes,
in
sir.
fees.
Last year's.
And if you had to estimate of those fee waivers, what did it cost the city in employee hours and time?
I'd have to see, I would have to look at
Okay,
each
I
event,
figured you wouldn't have that.
because all events are all totally different. Some of them are small, just a banquet hall, but then you have some big events where staff had to be there to help clean up with big events during the parks.
And I understand that we're here to provide a service to them as well, and public parks and things are expected by our residents. And but I do really think the deposit aspect of it to protect the venue would be something I would be in favor of doing. Thank you, Mayor.
So moving forward, I think, general consensus is there should be some sort of deposit, some sort of saving in case they do damage to whatever facility, or in
Yes, sir.
case they leave that facility extremely poor condition.
Yes, sir.
We haven't been doing that in the past. So
Yes, sir.
when's that, how's it, when you do the transition, we just do it, we can do it tonight and say as of tonight, going forward, we have some sort of a deposit from whoever uses a facility, that even if they are granted a fee waiver.
Right.
Is that what you request, John?
That is correct. And I think we should also, on the back end of that, set some sort of time frame. And unfortunately, Carlos isn't here, but, where we would have, they would have their money back within 7 days if everything is good.
That's true.
Or something, not having to wait 30 days or 45 days out for, depending on where they fall within a financial check writing period, from the city. So I think we need to do, to collect it ahead of time, but we also need to be quickly able to return it to them because some of these people may be out of their pocket, to cover the event. And, like at the Boy Scouts or somebody, they may not have the money, but the Cubs, the troop leader or whatever takes it out of his pocket and fronts it, but needs it back, sooner than later. So that's all that I'm thinking about, is that we need to set a time frame. And unfortunately, like I said, Carlos isn't here, so we couldn't say exactly how many days, but I think we need to make sure that we are quickly able to give back the funds that we collect as a deposit also.
Okay. Mr. Maldonado?
Yes, in light of what we're talking about, which, I understand, the thoughts, and for the most part, I'm going to agree, but I'd just like to remind that our two other council members that are not here, just to, before we vote on or put anything or make a change in policy, that would give them the ability to kind of chime in if possible. I know that Councilman Shelley and Mr. Williams, I'm sure, if anything like that, would like to chime in on that. So just not to finalize, but at least get a sense of direction where we're going and get a finalization as soon as possible. It's fine with me.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, for clarification purposes. Dennis, when you quote these numbers here, does that include cleaning, or that is just to use a facility?
Vice Mayor, what usually happens, if you rent a facility, you're required to clean up before you leave. And if you don't clean up correctly, we hold your deposit. Or what it cost us to clean up after you or repair something that was damaged.
So for all of the waiver of usage fees, we have cleaned up behind?
We have had some events where we had to clean up afterwards, and we also had some damage, but we always waive the fees.
Well, okay, so if we would like to move forward to have the nonprofits to pay a deposit, the deposit is in case there are damages?
Damages and also for cleanup.
For cleanup, okay.
If they left it a mess, like bottles and everything, and my staff had to go there, then we would hold them how long it took my staff to clean up.
Right, that's what I wanted, and that has to be clear to the nonprofits, that this deposit is in the event that there are damages and in the event that we have to clean up behind you. because we're waiving the usage fees. We're not cleaning up behind you also. So that needs to be clear.
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
we just have that conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
And on the heels of that, Vice Mayor, one of the things we've always talked about for years and years, if we waive fees and a little damage, all of a sudden now, Harrisfield needs a $500,000 renovation.
Yes,
And
sir.
we've waived all the fees to a point now where we have to dip into the taxpayers' funds to redo that. So there's a balancing act we need to try to find. So, but let me ask a question, technical question. Okay, this is a committee of whole. Should we put a discussion item on I think that 4 people can move anything forward anytime, but right now, we had a consideration for the other 2 that are not here. Jerry, you want to put it on or put it on the next council meeting, or?
Yes, Mayor, we could put it on as a discussion item at the next meeting if you like.
You want to do it at the next meeting at the council
The
meeting?
next
You guys
Cal
wanna do
meeting,
it
if
on
you
the
like.
Cal? John?
Well, the only thing with the discussion meeting, then it goes another month.
I know.
And then it goes on. So let's put it on, I would request we put it on as an item. There seems to be support here for it tonight. We'll let the other 2 members voice in on that evening, and we'll go from there. Because otherwise, we're 2-3 months down the road before we get it into place, and we're going to have more requests and more requests as we go.
And based on tonight, it's going to pass, whether the other 2 agree or disagree, because the consensus is basically already here to address this problem in this manner. So let's do that,
We'll bring it to the next meeting.
okay?
We'll go ahead and make the agenda for the council.
So now, as to this item, there's no one here.
No, I know the turnpike was closed due to a fatality, so
Fatality.
I'm pretty sure we did call them to, let everybody know that they had items here tonight.
Vice Mayor.
Did they call you and say that they could make it because it's
Uh,
local? They don't have to travel.
Vice Mayor, no, they didn't call me, but to let you know, we did talk to him this morning because we had to get some info from him, but he knew about it because we always send emails and give him phone calls to let him know.
Well, I'm one way across the board. If they're not here, then I can't support it.
I think that we've been very clear as a board that, if you're coming in there asking for something, some help from the city, you at least be here to ask questions from the board, from the council about the issue. So is there a motion to deny? Or do you want to move it, if we move it to the agenda as a denial,
Just defer it to the next meeting?
we'll just defer it to the council meeting. Motion and second to defer, tab 7. All in favor? Tab 8.
Mayor, staff recommends that mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to accept and execute a contract between the City of Homestead and the Cultural Facilities Program, the Florida Department of State Division of Cultural Affairs, for the renovation of the Seminole Theater. The grant award is for $500,000 reimbursement grant. This grant requires a match amount of $1.5 million. The city will use the funds from the original renovation of the building in 2015, 2016 to meet the match requirements.
Is there a motion to accept the $500,000?
Move it.
Is there a second? All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 9.
Mayor, staff recommends the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing city manager to accept and execute a contract between the City of Homestead and Brightview Landscape Services, Inc. for the landscape maintenance services. The term of the agreement is 3 years with 2 one-year renewal options.
Questions from council, Mr. Burgess?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayton, I had some concerns at the last meeting, and I just want to make sure that Brightview is clear on what we're talking about and what we expect from them on this go-around. I know that there's a large, vast mowing area that they do around the city and all, but that we're expecting them to step it up a little bit more.
Councilman Burgess, before we sign this contract, we'll have a meeting with them since they were the award winner, and then we'll tell them our expectation and what we see from them. Of course, the alleyways, and that's also on this, so they're going to probably have more employees down here, but I will tell them what council's concerns are.
And just to reiterate, as the attorney brought to my attention last time, is I had concerns about how they were mowing, what they were using to mow, and the language is specific in the contract as to how they're to do it. And please reiterate that fact to them, that there's specific language that they're to follow.
Yes, sir, I will.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
You will.
Mayor.
Sir, any other questions? Mr. Roth?
Just for clarity, under the paragraph of scope of services, it mainly refers back to the city manager for every response. And I know that in the past, I've spoken to Dennis about maintenance issues out there in the field.
I'm sorry, Councilman, I couldn't hear your question.
I'm sorry. Under the scope of services, number 2,
Okay?
it refers everything that needs to be agreed to or additional services and whatnot goes through the city managers, through the city manager. And I know that in the past, that when I've had an issue out there in the streets with maintenance, it's always been with Dennis, and I've communicated with him about that. Does everything go through the manager's chair before Dennis is allowed to give additional instructions? I've called for things like edging around certain areas in the city and overgrowth in a certain amount. I never called the manager's office. I know he deals with the landscaping. I call him directly. So I just, when I see it city manager, city manager, city manager, I was just wondering if that's who I should go to first, or do I contact who I know is in direct communication with that provider?
Well, Councilman, in either case, usually what happens, if a council person calls a director and says, hey, I need this done, they usually call the manager's office anyways and say, hey, listen, just an FYI, this is going on. But also, we have our designees, and we can say, hey, Dennis is my designee, or the manager's designee for landscaping. So we should be okay there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question? Is there a motion on tab 9?
Move it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Tab 10.
Mayor, the city continues to grow. The purchase of an airless palletized striper, jeez,
I read it the same way, too.
will ensure that the city has the ability to continuously maintain the safety and proper function of the city's infrastructure. I apologize, by the way. This purchase is not part of the original CIP. Staff recommends that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase one 2017 Easy Liner Model AL20 airless palletizer. The total cost is $61,900.
Sure, you had the sun today?
Yes, sir, I was out in the sun today.
Which department gets this?
The city manager's office is going to take this.
Manager's office. Okay. Any questions from council? Mr. Maldonado?
And this is more of a serious question, but what does this do? This,
I'll defer to Julio on this one.
but striping.
It's for striping lanes on roadways, doing any type of striping on
All right, so
roadways.
it's ours. I thought in the past, have we always owned one before and used it, or is it we always have another company work on it?
We usually use a contractor to do those, but from time to time, it costs more to call for the small,
Right.
type of operations that we do here. So having our own machine makes it a lot more cost-effective to use.
Okay, yeah, 'cause I wouldn't recall that we had one before. I know that you used to contract that out, so I guess that was my question. All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on tab 10?
Move it.
Is there a second?
Well, hang on, which one are we, what are we moving?
We're moving the stripper for the manager.
Or the striper?
The striper for Parks and Rec. No. Okay, we got to get serious here. Was there a motion?
Yes.
And there was a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Jerry. That was entertaining. Tab 11.
Mayor, staff request that the mayor and council approve the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to issue a purchase order to Hazen and Sawyers in the amount of $79,500 as part of the professional service agreement with Hazen and Sawyer for design, bidding, and contractor selection and evaluation of future conditions for City of Homestead Racetrack Water Tower Booster Station CIP 049.
And again, this is part of a grant that we were awarded out of the state for that pump station, $500,000. So,
Yes.
any questions from council? Is there a motion? Is there a second? Move the second. All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 13.
12?
Oh, did I skip 12? Oh, 12, I'm sorry.
Mayor, the mayor and council previously approved CAR 1835 awarding bid 2016-28 wastewater collection system rehabilitation in the amount not to exceed a total project budget of $956,414.94. However, the total bids received were $127,540.06 greater than the estimated budget. Since then, additional funding for the project's construction phase has been reallocated through a modification of the EPA grant. Therefore, the funding of the $127,540.06 is now available to allow the completion of the project. Staff recommends the mayor and council approve the motion to use additional funding availability to complete the previously approved wastewater collection system rehabilitation project.
Any questions on tab 12? Is there a motion? Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Motion carries. Tab 13.
Mayor, the South Dade Chamber of Commerce is requesting that mayor and council authorize the city manager to approve the use of the Grand Hall at City Hall for a military retirement ceremony on March 24, 2017 at 10 a.m. The South Dade Chamber of Commerce is submitting this request on behalf of soldiers from the local Armor Career Center. The ceremony would last approximately 30 minutes and expects 50 people in attendance.
Any questions from council? I don't see anybody. I know-
March 24th at 10 o'clock. And Mr. Maytan says they were notified.
Mr. Roth?
One of my concerns is that it's actually happening during regular business hours for the city hall. And I just have an issue with that. I understand what the ceremony is for, but it's during normal business hours, and I'm kind of weary on inviting that kind of activity to City Hall. I know we've had this conversation before about the usage of the hallway out there, and it really hasn't, I don't think anything's ever been decided yet as to what we would like to do with it or how we want to handle that. And I'm definitely not for having ceremonies performed during regular business hours at City Hall. And I'll reserve further comments. Thank you.
Mr. Maldonado?
The Grand Hall is where, right out here, correct? Not?
It's where Bertha sits, right there.
Okay.
Did it go off? Oh. I know originally, I think Mr. Alford mentioned something to me about using the chambers for but I said, you know, we're very cautious right now about what comes and goes in the city hall because it's brand new. We want the facility to say, you know, stay a certain way, and he needs to go work it out with the manager. So that's why they ended up, I guess, coming to the conclusion of maybe using the Grand Hall. So it's unfortunate that they're not here to state their case. Mr. Burgess?
I guess my question is, does anybody know, are they planning on putting chairs and all that, and would it impede the traffic through, a podium for speaking, or, I guess that's my question is.
No, we more or less was just put this on the agenda for a discussion item because it is the hall and it was during, business hours. We really didn't know what they were going to do with chairs and stuff like that right away, but I'm pretty sure, Councilman Burgess, there was going to be chairs in that.
Councilman Burgess, the letter, as the exhibit says, they'll be bringing food, tables, chairs, et cetera.
Right, and then that was going to be my question to them is, how do they plan to set it up? Would it impede the ability for people to get to planning and zoning or to the elevator or, or what through the walkway is to go along with Mr. Roth's concern and stuff there. So those are my questions, but maybe if nobody's here.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, it states here in the letter what their intentions are, and we have questions, but it's unfortunate that we can't get answers, and we have to level the playing field. If they're not here tonight, then we have to defer this like we deferred the other one, unless anyone else has
No,
different opinion.
I think we should be consistent and do the same, give them the opportunity to come to the council meeting, but, you know, we reserve the right to not, I mean, I think consistency is where we've been really good at over time, so.
Yes, Mayor, I'll contact both people that we deferred and make sure they're here on Wednesday.
And part of the problem is we move fast tonight, you know, I mean, I think we've got to, and I know when we send these things out, it says the cow starts at 6, but it also says immediately following the meeting right before. So I think we've got to kind of get our message out there, you know, that we are not going to wait 30 or 40 minutes in between meetings. We're going to have, we need to the clerk, I guess, we need to let people know that as soon as the meeting is over, we're going to go to the next one because we're probably, you know, 20, 30 minutes ahead of schedule right now. Vice Mayor?
I just had a thought, even if we defer this, there's still some discomfort with allowing this event to happen during regular hours, which I have a concern with as well, and Councilman Roth expressed that. The other two events that were held in the Grand Hall was the Champions for Education, as well as a chamber event, but it was after hours, so we supported that. I'm not sure if I would support this. Probably have to think of an alternative.
And Vice Mayor, to your point, I agree. Maybe they would be flexible in being able to say maybe they might be able to hold it after hours.
After hours.
If we would allow them to hold it after hours.
I would be comfortable with that.
So I agree. Well, we're going to have to get them here. So the motion, this is just a discussion item. So we'll have to add this on to the council agenda as well.
We'll defer it, sir.
Mr. Burgess?
I was just going to say, I'm fine with that, but we also have somebody that came in for the other item we deferred.
Go back to,
No, let's finish this one.
okay. Well, this was just for discussion purposes. We're going to just move it directly to the council agenda as discussion and tell the chamber that they need to be here.
Okay.
So we need to go back now. Mr. Maldonado?
Staff has direction and how to follow up. We're clear on that? And maybe even give some of the concerns prior to, so at least when they're coming, maybe they have some ideas, different ideas or alternatives?
You got it. I'll make sure that, let them know that we deferred it and that, you know, there was some concerns about having it at the Grand Hall. Maybe they can look at some other ideas or something to show to the council.
And timeframes, think
Timeframes.
after hours, and I obviously point out the main concern, which is during work time, or it's going to be a little bit difficult.
We'll make sure to air the council's concerns when we talk to the applicant.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a representative here now on tab 7, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Can you come forward, please, sir?
Mayor, Vice Mayor, Councilman. My name is Shamali Cesare. I'm with the Haitian Task Force. And we were asking the city to waive if they could waive the fee for the Harris Field, so we can hold our soccer tournament on, not a tournament, soccer day event on next weekend.
Now, the discussion that we had prior to you coming in was the concern that with our Parks and Rec department that we waive the fee for the usage, but if there's any damages that are done to the facility or the cleanup afterwards, there's a concern from the board that we don't have any ability to recoup any of those costs. We can waive the fees. There was no concern about waiving the fees, but the question was having some sort of a deposit put in place for the unforeseen reason of maybe somebody not cleaning up, not just you, but anyone that we waive the fees for. We don't have any mechanism in place at this particular point. And the question we had, Dennis, you weren't really sure on what would the fee be, what would you want for this particular fee waiver as a deposit if that's where we went.
Mayor, what I do is I have a fee schedule with the deposit amount. What I could do is let them know if it's, given to them today, and I can let them know first thing in the morning what the deposit will be.
But if they can't come up with a deposit, we kind of need to know that right now. If they're willing to, if the council is willing to waive the fee and they're willing to put the deposit up,
Okay.
then everything should be in order. Mr. Burgess?
I guess my question is, you state in the paperwork that I received, you're going to be charging teams to participate. Can you tell us how much you're going to be charging the teams and the monies that you're collecting? What does that money go towards that you collect, the referees and things like that, or?
The referees will be volunteers. The team will be charged $120.
Okay, so not a lot.
It's not an exorbitant amount of money. The fees for collecting is to go toward the Haitian Flag Day event that we're putting up on the 13th of May.
Okay.
Vice Mayor?
Yes.
I was going to ask a question also as it relates to the fees. Will you be selling anything out there?
No.
Okay.
No. Are we expecting every team to bring their own drink, so there's not much to sell.
Okay.
No vendors.
Next is just a comment. We have discussed deposits as it relates to the nonprofits moving forward, but the policy has not been established yet. So I don't think we should be having this conversation now with this nonprofit because the policy hasn't been established. I think moving forward, for sure, but I don't think it's proper and appropriate to do that at this juncture, considering the policy is not in place.
No.
So then are we willing to go forward with this as is with no deposit?
Yes, because that's what we have been doing in the past. After this application, then we have a conversation about moving forward. I don't think it's fair for us to do that at this point.
So is there a motion to go forward with this as is intended? Okay, Mr. Burgess, then Mr. Maldonado?
Okay. Yeah, I'll make the motion, but I also would like to, when you guys are done out there with the soccer games, we, being the city, needs your help to make sure that the teams don't just throw 100 water bottles, every team is out there all day playing and the water bottles and everything just get discarded. Okay, and that's what we're asking for, because I know, and I'm not anything against you, but what we're going to try to do is try to make sure that things are returned, the facilities are given back to the city in the same shape that they're given to you for the most part, so we don't have damage. Or if we do have some minimal damage, we have an opportunity not to, to hold people a little bit responsible. Sometimes what happens, and I've heard from people, is we give them the opportunity to go out and use everything, and there's no respect, and they don't care about anything, and they leave, and there's trash that takes our hard-working park crews, a couple hours to clean up or more, and then we have to go out and fix some things. So that's all we're looking to do in the long run, is to make sure that people take pride and help us protect what we have out there for them to use, and that we're allowing them to use it for no cost. Yeah.
Whenever we use it, then it won't be there anymore for us to use.
So, and I'll make the motion for tonight and go on his word that they're going to help.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, and again, just to register, okay, so I just want to get a kind of a better idea of registration is the key. You're collecting teams, are these teams going to be from Homestead, or are they coming from other places, or what's the idea here in the sense of the teams?
I don't have an exact amount of how many teams we have right now, but we're anticipating some teams to come from the Kendall area. Hopefully we can get some more from Miami, but it's a one-day event. We can only get so many, use so many teams during the day.
So the idea is this is soccer day in Homestead, put together by your organization. Invite any soccer teams from the Miami-Dade or even outside of Miami-Dade and have them come here and have a day of soccer. You then would register the teams and that's it?
Yes, sir. It's most of the teams are going to be from the area. I'm anticipating one or two from Kendall or Miami, but that's pretty much.
Okay, that's it. Just a little bit more detail on that.
Saucer?
Mayor, I just wanted to give you, it was a $200 deposit.
Okay. It makes sense what we're doing, though.
Yeah, just want to let you know.
So there was a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just have a comment.
Yes,
now
ma'am.
that we voted.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. In addition, when we regroup to discuss the deposits moving forward for nonprofits. There are some other items that we need to address too. When the nonprofits come before us, we need to make sure that they're registered and licensed. Do we do that?
That is correct, Vice Mayor. We check everything to make sure they're 501c and they're nonprofit and they're active. We check all
It's
that.
active.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
They're all
Just
good.
make sure.
Yep.
Okay. And we can add that to the agenda packets. That'll be great. It's public records anyway.
Yes, ma'am, I will.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Anything else? Mr. Attorney, you?
Just before we go, I wanted to request an executive session. It's Lunicon Construction versus City of Homestead, case number 2017-000561. Thank you.
Your motion passed to go to the council, so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Is there anything else, Jerry?
Nothing from the manager's office, no, sir.
Nothing? Is there a motion to adjourn? Go ahead.
I'd like to have a request.
Yes, sir.
So I've kind of seen some folks, and this is more of concern. I've seen some folks in the parking lot on our side, right where we park, kind of walking over that, I guess what do you call it, the little landscaping there?
Like
and
where the divider is?
the
where there should
divider,
be a
and I've
hedge or
actually
something?
seen two individuals almost fall and eat it.
Okay.
And so my concern is that because folks are not willing to go around and then trying to go over, would we consider or can we make like a little divide one area and kind of a walkway somewhere in between that? And I know it's going to be like, well, we're going to cross over into the council's parking lot, which, I don't really have a problem with that because I think, their safety is more my concern than, whether you're walking through my car or not. But just a thought and a consideration and for the city manager's office and staff to at least talk about it and think about it and maybe come up with some solution.
Will do. I'll follow up with staff and see if there's something we could do.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn? All in favor? Motion carries. Good night, thank you.